Welcome to Lisbon, one of Europe's great capital cities and once again a proud host of International Nations Cup show jumping. After 3 years away from the calendar, the Nations Cup of Lisbon returns in 2026, and it returns with real purpose, real backing and a clear vision for the future. This is not simply a competition coming back for one weekend. This is the beginning of a new chapter here at the Sociedade Hípica Portuguesa, a venue rich in equestrian history. Lisbon steps back onto the international stage with the support of Shira'aa, and with it, this brilliant lineup of international teams that starts with Brazil, the home team, Portugal, drawn second, and the United Arab Emirates here as well. The USA making the trip alongside European nations, France and Italy. A total of 10 teams, Great Britain, South Africa, Switzerland and Spain, all bringing first-class lineups to this fabulous grass arena to compete. Well, the opening round saw Portugal and their Rodrigo Castillo Almeida, who was one of the clears, although the home team that is, finishing round one on a total of 8 penalties. But a highlight for him as he set the teams at ball rolling with that brilliant clear. For France, a team that start the second round on a score of 4, one of 4 teams to do so. Clear rounds from Alex Rago and Arthur Levot. Certainly a double for them. The Italian team, also on a score of 4. Also a team that delivered 2 clears with Caroline Pamelola and Clara Pezzoli. The Blues looking pretty happy and certainly in with a chance. Great Britain, one of the 2 teams to come back in the second round on a 0 score, with clear rounds from 3 of their 4 riders in that opening round. Max Routledge, Amelia Gashoud and Tim Gredley all delivering 0 scores. South Africa, a team that will also come back on a score of 4. Their clear round highlights coming from Charlie Bays and also from Ronnie Healy to ensure they kept the score as low as possible. The Swiss, well, they couldn't have had it any better. The all-powerful first round from them saw all 4 of their riders jumping clear. They could not have asked for more. They delivered time and time again. The Spanish team, looking good, certainly in the mix, just that 1 fence back on that score of 4. A team that got clears in the opening round from Pelu Udry and Kevin Gonzalez de Zarata Fernandez. Certainly keeping the Spanish team very much in the mix as we push on into this round. From the United Arab Emirates, Omar Abdul Aziz Al Marzouki in his leading position for the team, one of the 2 clear rounds. But the UAE have made it through, but on a total of 8 faults, they've got a 2 fence deficit to those leading lineups when we get underway in the second round. Sadly, for Brazil, a team that were always in a difficult position, only having 3 riders where all the scores had to count, it didn't quite work out. And unfortunately, no clears and all 3 picking up faults meant that Brazil didn't qualify to get in to the second round. But great to see them here on the grass and as part of it. Also, a big surprise was the team from the USA. Again, they started so well with Eleanor Haas's clear, but unfortunately, it didn't quite go to plan. They missed out by a score of 4, ended up on a total of 12 at the end of the opening round, but the fences went down. And the score means, sadly, there is no USA because only the top 8 teams have qualified to go in the next round. There's the lineup for the UAE with their chef to keep, William Funnell, Omar Abdulaziz Al Marzouki, one of the 2 clears alongside Humaid Abdullah Khalifa Amari. In there as well, though, Salim Ahmed Al Sawadi and Abdullah Mohammed Al Mari. A very strong lineup from the United Arab Emirates, but they are on a score of 8 and pushing back. Rodrigo Castillo Almeida, Durat Sibra, Molly Hughes Bravo and Mario Wilson Fernandez. The home team on a score of 4. Molly Hughes, though, won't be coming back in the second round. Sadly, she was eliminated in the opening round and decides not to return on Tokyo, but they'll still be pushing. They're only a fence behind, as are the team for France. With the 2 clear rounds, Alex Rago, one of those, along with Arthur Levot, Now looking as well to Melissa Gabriel and to Frederick Bouvard, who's in that anchor role. Always the anchor role going to play a key part of the team performance when they'll know what they need to do. Under the chef d'équipe, François Mate Jr., it is the Spanish team, just again on a score of 4. Pilar Lucira Cordon, Pilar Adri, Kevin Gonzalez, Desirata Fernandez, and the last out, the experience of Jesus Garmenida with Caramel Blue PS. Then we turn our attention to the Italian team. Giorgio Maracero, the chef d'équipe, bringing a experienced and youthful lineup combined with Francesco Tuttoriello, Carolina Palamucci, Clara Pezzoli, and the last out there with Crontown PS is Matteo, who'll have the responsibility of the last to go. South Africa keeping themselves very much in the mix. Chef d'équipe Lisa Williams had the clears from the opening 2 in the first round. Ronnie Healy and Charlie Bays. It's kept them just to a score of 4. Alexandra Maria Ruiz and Tamara Rueda will be the last 2 riders out when we get into this second round. The British team under chef d'équipe Matt Lanny, well, they are in a great place. On a 0 score coming back, Max Routledge, Leo Lamb, Amelie Gertrude, and the experienced of Tim Gredley in that anchor role. Although of a younger horse, it'll be a fascinating story to see whether they can hang on and keep that advantage. But they're going to have to battle with the Swiss and Gianluca Augustensi's team of Jean-Maurice Breyer, Eva Gertucci, Linnaeus Hasselmann and Nicholas Schuttenberger. They bring both youth and experience, and it worked perfectly in the opening round as they delivered clear, clear, clear and clear to put themselves in a very strong looking position coming back in the second round. But if I've learned one thing about Nations Cup competitions over the many years of commentating on them, I describe them every time as the great equestrian game of snakes and ladders, because you may well think you've climbed your way up, but I could assure you it is very easy to slide your way down. You just never know what is going to happen. The weather conditions, though, I can assure you are absolutely perfect. There is that little breeze in the air. The course designer is Portugal's very finest, Bernardo Costa Cabral, and he sets this track up with a time allowed of 73 seconds. The return over this 1 meter 50 CSIO Al Shira'aa Nations Cup here in Lisbon. It is so good to be back. And this, of course, a venue steeped in so much history. And today we write the new chapter, the start of this new adventure here on this famous showground. We meet the first of the teams in the draw in the second round with the 3rd rider to go. This then is for the United Arab Emirates. And kicking things off in that 3rd role, it is their rider Salam Ahmed Al-Sawari. Plenty of experience. Sadly was the discard in the opening round on that score of 8. But the team at the moment have had a clear and an 8 from their opening 2 riders. It's meaning that as it stands, they could yet finish on a score of 8 that they're starting on. You can see the best potential outcomes on the left-hand side of your screen. This horse that he rides is called Flon Flon, part of the Al Shira'aa Stables lineup. Comes down after the water, pushing on towards that big parallel that follows. Alan, who rode as part of the team in that Olympic Games in Paris. He's ridden at Asian Games as well. What a shame, but of all the fences, it's coming out of the Al Shira'aa's combination. But he crosses the line and well inside in terms of the time, but he has picked up a score of 4, and it would be a counting 4 because they're holding a discard of 8. So that moves the team for the United Arab Emirates onto a best potential score of 12 for this competition, with still 1 rider to come in this competition. But it's the team watching on. Oh no, you can feel it. And there's William Funnell, the chef d'équipe, who keeping a close eye on things. So I'm looking a little disappointed, but certainly not with his horse. It's a fabulous partnership, but just today, unfortunately, the fence went down. So there's the scores as they stand. As you can see, that 8 penalties being held as a discard. The counting 4 puts them on a best outcome of 12. Now we move our attention to France as the next team to come forward. Their chef d'équipe, Olivier Guillon, will know they are but a fence behind the leading duo of teams in this round, but they're tied up with some other amazing nations. It's so tight. And this is Arfilivot, one of their 2 clear rounds from round 1. They could, as of yet, still finish on a score of 4, having picked up 4 and clear so far. So a 4 penalty score is their discard at the moment. But Melissa Gabriel coming back with a brilliant clear in the second round. Aristide Guy certainly showing a lot of scope and quality. Comes back over the plank. 9-year-old by Cicero Z. Ooh. Just needs to keep that rhythm as he comes back round. It's a big upright, and unfortunately it's one of those turns where it is so easy for the concentration just to lapse, and of course you've got the judgment in terms of coming back round the corner, and he's had the final part of the combination down, so that actually will become the discard score for the French team as it stands. With that score of 8, they'll have to count the 4 from a little earlier on of Alex Ringot and Arfilivot. I guess putting a bit more pressure on Frédéric Bouvard, who'll be the final rider out for the team. Of course, he'll know now they'll be very keen indeed to keep that 8 penalty score well away from the scoreboard. But that was Aristide Guy and Arfilivot as the third rider out for the French team. Heading back out to the warm-up, you can see the frustration. Team jumping to any rider, it just means everything. Being part of a team, and of course these CSIO3 stars giving nations a fabulous opportunity to perhaps test out younger horses, perhaps test out younger riders, maybe less experienced combinations. It gives so many an opportunity. Well, the next to go is François Matty's team for Spain, and this is Kevin Gonzalez de Zarate Fernandez. Spain have got off to quite a start. That wasn't necessarily the start we wanted, but either way, with a clear from Bielo as their second rider out, making a double clear has certainly been to their advantage, although Pilar Lucira Cordon picked up 4. So they're holding a discard. They're starting on a 4. And Kevin here and Dural de Lisiette, one of their clear rounds from the opening round. You hear the whistle, just perhaps encouraging him just to move up a gear. They don't want the time allowed to come back and cause them a problem. Lovely big jump and stretch over the water. Coming into this final line. Beautifully done through the combination, doesn't have any problem at all there. Now 1 left to go, and that is absolutely superb. Francois very happy, the crowd very happy as well, because that, for Kevin Gonzalez de Zarate Fernandez, is a double clear round, and that is 2 double clear rounds for the Spanish team. Certainly making sure they are putting the pressure on those 2 teams on 0 scores. 3 riders gone in the team now, and they still remain in a position to finish on that score of 4 that they started on. And if those top teams start to slip up, it's going to really push the Spanish up there and into contention for a top spot, perhaps on the podium a little later. High fives all round. There's those double clears. Still, though, Jesus to come. It's going to be a big moment for him. Now we turn to the Italians, and this young lady who's fresh back from international action, from Miami to Mexico to Shanghai on the global tour, and now her chance here for the team. Clara Pezzoli riding Hadwin van Revensnes, the mare who is 11 years of age, by Comme il faut, delivered one of the 2 Italian clears in the opening round. The other clear coming from Carolina Bamelucci, and Bamelina, who was the second in the team, has also jumped double clears. So as well, the Italians in a position to put the pressure on. They started this round on a score of 4. They've got a discard of 4, so they can't afford a fence. But that was the same for Spain. And it's all about handling that pressure, working together as a team. Every clear round really does go a long way to strengthening the nation's position. And that was arms in the air from Francesco Tortorello, the first out of the team, who knows that that is a big moment to keep Italy in play in this Nations Cup. And the smile says it all. Becoming a very accomplished part of the Italian lineup, that young lady certainly shone coming through the ranks of the youth, and now with a brilliant lineup of top-class horses in her stable, very much becoming a regular feature when it comes to these big occasions. So that's great news for the Italian team. They could yet still finish on that score of 4, a double clear round, and in fact 2 now, isn't it? Double clears for the Italians in their lineup. But again, they've got a discard, and that's always that sort of little moment in the back of your mind. You've still got another rider to go, and you're still holding a discard, so pressure is still being applied. Now we turn our attention to the team for South Africa. Their chef d'équipe, Lisa Williams, knows the team as well, starting this round 2 of the Nations Cup on a score of 4, and they've been able to see the double clear come from Charlie Bays. But Ronnie Healy, who was one of the riders that gave them a clear in the opening round, sadly picking up 8 in this round. Now that's been held as a discard, but it means that the round here from Alexandra Maria Rires Carter and Cavarol VGZ needs to be faultless if this team are going to keep themselves in the mix. So far, so good. It's an experience combination. They've got Nations Cup experience from last year, jumping both in Samarin and also on the Nations Cup down in Vera da Frontera back in October. Coming into the final line. Gets away of a couple of little rubs. Can't afford a pole at this stage, and no pole to afford. Ronnie Healy with a round of applause, so are the crowd, and that. These teams on a score of 4, they certainly should be smiling, because boy, are they putting the pressure on those 2 teams on 0 scores, because this could turn around. There's no reason to think it won't. Happy days for the partnership there for South Africa of Alexandra Maria Rires Carter and Cavarol VGZ. They keep the 8 penalties as the discard. Of course, this is a partnership that have really improved round on round because of the 4 they picked up in round 1 and then the clear round coming in the second round. So, brilliant news for South Africa, because they, like the Italians, like Spain, like France, keeping themselves on that score of 4 as a best potential outcome, just 1 fence behind the leading teams. And as good as it went for the leading teams in the opening round, with so many clears, of course, allowing both Great Britain and Switzerland to start this round on a score of 0. It hasn't been so easy in the second round. We look to the British team, their chef d'équipe, Matt Lanny, knowing already they've added an additional penalty to the score through Leo Lamb's time penalty, although that was an improved round. But sadly, Max Routledge, who was clear in round 1, picked up 8 in round 2. But now to another of the clears from round 1. This is Amelie Gatude and Lancaster. This lovely partner, the Belgium bred gelding by Fadamos de Moose. A jockey who was hugely successful coming up through the youth ranks, twice a medalist. Ooh, and it's the back rail that comes down. Well, that's going to count for the British team. So they now, as you can see, drop behind And that's the power of the clear rounds. Once you start having faults, it opens the door, time penalty as well, making it more costly because it's put them out of sync with Spain, with Italy, and of course with South Africa as well. And we'll talk about why the Swiss are there on a score of 4 in just a moment. More importantly, Amelie needs to land this one, and it's gone as well. Well, that is the discard, and it's a big swing in terms of points or scores or faults, whichever you want to call it. But the British team are now having to count an 8 penalty score in their mix. So they have already gone from a 0 score to a score of 9 as Leo and Max watch on from the sidelines. But the fence at the end really costing the British team a huge number of penalties. Disappointment after what was such a brilliant clear in the opening round, and it puts quite a lot of pressure on Tim Gradley to perhaps try and deliver a double clear and stabilise that score. But they're now relying on the mistakes of others if they're to try and recover back up the order. Well, there's another team to go in the order, and as I've mentioned, the Swiss team have not had it easy either because they've so far picked up 4 and 12. Now, that 12 is being held as a discard, but Jean-Marie Bra's 4 means that the team have already incurred a score of 4 after the 0 in round 1. So that has pushed them level with Spain, with South Africa, with the team from France, and of course, sorry, with the team from Italy as well. France on that score of 8. But now it's an important moment. Can they get that round back? Keep themselves in the mix. This young man who's been such a big part of the youth programme. He's still in Young Riders and he's had a pole as well. One of the clears in the opening round, and such a shame. This is Linus Hasselmann, SPJ Leonardo SH. Lovely jump over the water. He's been on Nations Cup teams for the youth last year, time and time again, including riding this horse at the Young Rider European Championships. He's shown he's more than capable with the clear that he gave the team in the opening round. But he comes home on a score of 4 in the second round, and it becomes a score of 8. And it's an 8 they're going to have to count as well. Wow, this has really swung things round, and to all intents and purposes, the Swiss team and the British team, the two teams that led coming into this second round, both now very much sort of pushing themselves out of contention. There is still one more rider to go in each of the teams, and that's always going to be the defining moment of any round, but it's out of their hands. So, with one rider left to go in each of the teams, the Swiss team moving on to a, minimum outcome of a total of 12, and it means we've got those 3 teams tied at the top, battling it out. Spain, South Africa, and of course the Italian team as well. All looking pretty even at the moment. What's going to happen? Boy, is this going down to the wire. As Linus Hasselmann, I mean, as I said a moment ago, these competitions really do aid the progression of the young talent horses and riders, and it's you've got to have the good moments and you've got to be able to cope with the difficult ones as well. Well, this is a man that's coped with so many moments for his nation over the years. It is, of course, the first of this final rotation of riders back then with the United Arab Emirates that are about to get underway, trying to keep their score to a total of 12. But to do that, they need a clear from these two. BBS, McGregor, Abdullah Mohammed Al-Mari, of course, part of this Al Shira'aa lineup. Of course, Her Highness Sheikh Fatima bin Saeed Al Nahyan has developed this amazing project of Al Shira'aa to promote both horses and, of course, riders, really developing the talent all the way up through the scales at home in the United Arab Emirates. And now also with the support of these events, bringing new life to some of Europe's greatest equestrian events as well. And this a partnership that jumped together at the Olympics. They won Grand Prix together. They've anchored in the performances for the United Arab Emirates on so many occasions. A horse that was bred in Ireland and developed and produced successfully by Jack Ryan, but has become a great friend and partner to Abdullah. And they may well be out of contention for the podium as it stands, and perhaps today, but this is an ongoing project. They're looking towards the Worlds this year, and that was a lovely little bit of riding to recover. Everything started to go slightly sideways, and Abdullah and McGregor correct things. Nicely done, and finishing with a clear round. So the team for the UAE finish on a total of 12. They keep them, they've ended up with 2 clears in the opening round and 2 clears in the second round, but they've still got to count a total of 12 overall. Beautiful replay, looking through the ferns there. And McGregor, one of the most consistent Nations Cup performers, although they did pick up 8 in the opening round, so Abdullah will be pleased with the way that the round recovered. You can see getting high fives. So there's the confirmation. They discard 8 in this round as they did in the last round, but they count the 4, so it is a total of 12 for the United Arab Emirates. Well, now we turn our attention to the hosts, to the team from Portugal. Slightly difficult for them in this. Well, that's certainly not going to be any easier. Slightly difficult for them in the second round because, unfortunately, from Portugal's point of view, Molly Hughes-Bravo withdrew after her elimination, which means Mario Wilson-Fernandez here knows whatever happens, the score was going to count. Now, it started strongly. Rodrigo Castillo-Almeida and Durat Sibra both delivering clears in those opening 2 slots to try and keep the team on an 8, but it's now slipped to 12. This ride is Crash Pasta, 11-year-old by Carrera VDL. Who's part of the European Championship team last year with this ride. We've been jumping on teams this year as well. Oh, and that's another. Oh, what a shame. He'll still get a lot of support because he's, of course, one of the home riders, but he'll be disappointed. They nearly managed to keep things on the score they started with, but sadly they've had to add 8 more on, and it pushes the team out to a total of 16. And it shows you how just the tiniest of moments, fences here or fences there, and suddenly the scores can really begin to add up. But that was a tough beginning. When you have the first fence down, it makes for an awful long trip. And I think the reaction on the kiss and cry said pretty much all. 1 down at the beginning, 1 down towards the end. That final part of the combination, just riding that a little bit short, it has caught a few of them out. Difficult day in the end for the hosts from Portugal. Oh, of course, counting all the scores makes it more difficult, but now we move on, quick as you go, in to the next rider, and this is for France. The team's still hoping, if they can, to finish on the score of 4, well, which would be a total of 8, as you can see, 4 from each round, but they need a clear here from Frederic Bouvard, Kinona Defrange, the Douglas mare, the 10-year-old. A decent start to the year with this ride, putting in some impressive 4-star rounds. Got himself into 4th in the Grand Prix in Compiègne as well last month. He would have caught the eye of the selectors in France, knowing that this is a really important line to try and finish them on that total of 8. If he can jump it, he does. Superb. And France will be delighted. Frederick will be over the moon when he gets his breath back. It's certainly, yeah, a good day to try and keep you cool, but he's certainly shown he can do that. Shira'aa goes clear with Frédéric Bouvard after his 4 penalties in the opening round. He comes back, delivers France their second clear in this round. So it is only that additional score of 4 that they've added on in the second round. And there's a lot of happy people there cheering on from the sideline. So France and Olivier Guillon, their chef de keep, know that their total for this competition is 8. Well, this is a big moment because, of course, now Spain, one of the teams tied at the top on a score of 4. There are 3 teams. Now, if we end up with a tie for the win, it would actually force a jump-off where you then take 1 rider from each team back to jump off against the clock. And this, therefore, is such a key round for the Spanish team because the pressure is on Jesus Garamendia and Caramel Blue PS. He jumped for 4 in the opening round. Cannot afford a fence because it would drop them back level with France. It'll give then Italy and South Africa the opportunity to jump to perhaps win. But everyone around this showground will know if he can deliver a clear, at the very least, it would put them into a jump-off for the win. But depending on the results of Italy and South Africa's rounds, it could turn into being a winning performance for the Spanish team. This is such a key line. A, B, C. 1 fence left to go. And Spain are in the battle for the top spot here. That could well be enough to win it, depending on what the others do, but it's certainly enough to know that they'll jump off if that's where we end up, because the Spanish team have delivered their 3rd clear round in a row in this competition, and it means that they finished this round on 0 and the 2 rounds on that score of 4 penalties. That is what they needed. There's Pello and Kevin watching on as the experience certainly works to their advantage at the end. Now, is it going to be enough to win it outright in this round, or will it go as far as a jump-off? That's down to both South Africa, but of course to the Italians as well. Where's a brilliant lineup of scores. François Mati Jr., their chef de keep, will be rather pleased with the way the day has gone. And here we go to the Azzurri, to the Italians, and their chef de keep, Giorgio Macero, bringing in Matteo Schetti as the last to go. Coroton PS didn't have it easy in the opening round, and he hasn't had it easy in the second round. And the Italian team dropped to a score of 8, and that, well, works to the advantage of Spain, because it means now one of the 2 teams will not be able to force a jump off. The 11-year-old here by Konrad Oblensky, trying to just keep it neat and tidy, trying to keep it to that score of 4, which will put them on an 8. Now, of course, if that means they're tied with the French team at the end of this round, because it will not be for the win, we'll be looking towards team times. And that might become interesting from the French team's point of view, because if I recall, Frédéric Bouvard actually set, I think, what was the quickest time anyone's been around this course in. But he's got to make sure here, coming down the final line, that Matteo gets over this final fence to keep it on that 4. From his point of view, it is indeed 4:72.84. And the Italian team drop away from battling for the top spot of the podium. They can't force the jump off with the Spanish team. And Spain will be watching on nervously, knowing that it's just South Africa to come in terms of trying to force the win. That result of the Porsche fence going down is hugely costly from their side. there's the scores for the Italian team. They move to that total of 8. So here we go. This is what it comes down to. This round, if it is not clear, will ensure any fault from these two, and Spain will win the Nations Cup of Lisbon, the Shira'aa Nations Cup of 2026. But it is not over yet, because this is South Africa. Tamara Lia and Carlo Leantos jump for 4 in the opening round, but has the opportunity to force this Nations Cup into a jump-off situation. Very much part of the preparations for the World Championships for South Africa, having come over, jumped recently in Mannheim, but it's a big test of nerve. Just having to stick to that routine, go through your plan, find your stride. Can't even afford a time penalty here. Can she do this? This is getting closer. Ooh, gets away with a little nudge. Oh, yes, we have a jump off for the win. Oh, they know what it means. They've got to find somebody to go again. The smile says it all. As the team for South Africa have just forced the issue and ensure that this Shira'aa Nations Cup really does go the distance and really does come down to the line, because we are insured of a jump-off for the win here in 2026. We're not done yet. We're round 2 to find out who else finishes wherever they are going to. But when it comes to the top spot, we're going to find out in a little while exactly. Look, there's the team watching on from the sidelines, and they know exactly what it meant. What a brilliant set of results as the clears came from their 3 riders there, the team working together. Now the decision needs to be made as to who jumps off, and of course that's a decision the Spanish team will be taking as well, knowing that that's the situation. Meanwhile, we turn to a rider for Great Britain. The British team so strong in the opening round, but have slipped back in the second round, trying to lock in on a score at the moment that doesn't increase or have to use the 8 penalty discard. They'd rather stay on the 9. Tim Gredley, Vitor Picabello Z, the 10-year-old by Vagabond de la Pomme. It's a ride that he's been producing and developing and certainly been getting stronger with. Was out in the UAE at the start of the year. Tim, who's been a big part of the British team lineup. Oh, and he has picked up 4. Just got a little bit untidy coming into the double. Very unlike these two. Oh, really having to force the issue to the water. He was a long way off. Now, did he get to the other side? The judge is going over to have a little look. Plasticine makes it easy to spot, but I think he's just about got away with that because there's nothing coming up on the screen. Tim really trying to make sure he doesn't add any more. The British team now on a best outcome of 13, but he's got to get down this final line. Vitor Picabello Z then does indeed finish with just that 1 fence going into the double early on. And Tim Gredley, as happy as he'll be with the performance of his horse, he'll know, as will the rest of the team, it's just been a bit of a disappointing second round, having in the end given away 13 counting penalties in this second round. So going from 0 to 13 and dropping down the order in doing so. Tough day for the British quartet. But there's always something to take from any day, even if it's been tough. I mean, no one in the team scored more than an 8. And that's been something that's been noticeable up and down. I mean, the score's still relatively close. And the performances, it's just been fences here and fences there. But there's the eventual order, and you can see the difference round on round. In fact, yeah, Lamb, you can see the improvement. The others, unfortunately, all faltered Well, talking of faulting, that's what's happened here for the Swiss team so far. It's not been easy at all in this second round. They're looking at a best potential outcome of 12, having also been on a 0 score at the start of things. But from a round 1 that saw all 4 riders go clear, so far in round 2, they haven't produced a clear. Can Nicholas Schuttenberger put that right and give them a double clear to finish and keep them on the 12? He knows, as do we, though, they're holding a 12 penalty discard, so fences start to fall, the score goes up quite quickly. This is Leroux. Steingelding by Legolas for a rider, of course, that's been a medal winner at Olympics. He's been a big rider for Switzerland over the years. He knows how to handle these situations perhaps better than anyone. One more fence left to go. Delivering as the last. Gives them something to smile about at the end of a difficult second round for the team from Switzerland. As the final rider, Nicholas Schuttenberger, delivers their double clear. But unfortunately, from the team's overall perspective, not enough to keep them in the mix. Having had that advantage after the first round, they end up on a team total of 12, which means they end up finishing down in 5th place here today when you bring the times and faults together. A little bit faster than the team from the United Arab Emirates. So there you have it. We know we're going to have a jump-off between South Africa and Spain. France, on their score of 8, and that slightly quicker time, mean that they will join the podium celebrations in 3rd place, ahead of the Italian lineup, also at a score of 8, but that little bit slower. The time separates the Swiss and the United Arab Emirates down there in 5th and 6th. The British team dropping to 7th, and Portugal, sadly, in 8th here at home. But the USA and Brazil, neither of which made it through to the second round, being that there were 10 in round 1 and only 8 able to qualify again to come back in that second round of the Al Shira'aa Nations Cup. Here we then turn our attention to the 2 rounds that are going to be absolutely key to deciding the outcome of this Nations Cup. Will it be Spain or will it be South Africa? Spain trusting in their anchor rider that he can handle this, and I'm sure he can. All eyes focusing. Francois Maté Jr. there with the white cap on in the middle, the chef to keep. The riders behind, all watching on as well, because it is over to you, Jesus Agaramidia and Caramel Blue PS, who's going to try to set the standard. Now, does he push, or does he just look for the clear? Which way does he have to go to try and put a bit of pressure on South Africa's choice? Of course, will go second in this jump-off against the clock. The shortened course, Bernardo Costa Cabral, course designer today, doing a world-class job in setting the right challenge here in Lisbon, taking us all the way through to this jump-off round. So, what's going to happen next? Across this arena, one end to the other, coming across. Now, looping back round on the turn, doesn't want to waste any time. It's a big stretch over though, lands there in 19 seconds. Oof, gets away with a little nudge. Now he knows he's trying to push, he's certainly not holding back here. To the Al Shira'aa double. Balancing up, coming down. Picking up, and over the last he goes once more, and he's done it. He's clear yet again. Mission accomplished. 39.52. He may well have picked up 4 in that very first round, but he's bounced back with a clear in the second round and another brilliant clear in the jump-off round. So the pressure moves to South Africa. 39.52, and a clear round is the time to beat. This was where it looked just, I thought he'd given that one a little bit of a nudge, but he went all in. That's what we love to see in this sport. And they were riding every stride along the way. Looking cool as a cucumber. Well, is it enough? Is it to be Spain's day here in Portugal, in Lisbon, for the Shira'aa Nations Cup? There's the time, 39.52. The clear round, I think, is as important as the time. Because if a fence falls, it is Spain's day in Portugal. Or will it be the South African team that are celebrating tonight? We will find out. They choose as well to go with their final rider, Tamara Rida, who delivered the clear round that put them in this amazing position with Carlo Liantos. 39.52. Time to beat, but it's got to be clear. Can they do it? Whatever happens, they know they've got second in the bag, but they have not come to be runners-up. They've come to try and win it. Picking up a nice rhythm. Good pace. Now the turn back. Suggests she's a little bit down. Oh, and it's over. The front rail comes off, and it'll mean it's Spain's day. She was a little bit behind on the clock at the split as well. But you can't take anything away from the team performance from the South African lineup today. They've pushed this into a jump off. They've delivered time and again. They'll be over the moon with the, if you'd have told them at the start of today, you're going to take second, I think they'd have been more than happy. In the end, they pushed it all the way through to a jump off. But it is a very happy moment for Spanish jumping, because they will be lifting the Shira'aa Nations Cup here in Lisbon 2026. The smiles and the celebration, no doubt, going the way of Pilia Lucera Cordon, Pilo Eldri, Kevin Gonzalez, and Jesus Garamadia as the Spanish team of Juan Samate Juniors. Thanks to this pole going down, didn't have to look at the clock. They knew they had it there and then. Sadly, from South Africa's point of view, it hasn't quite come off, but there's, I'm sure, plenty of good days ahead with how strong they've been today, and it'll certainly set them up for the summer to come. But this is all about the Spanish lineup, and here is the full and final result. There's your jump-off times and scores. It's Spain, South Africa and France, the 1, 2, 3 for the podium here for the CSIO3 Star Shira'aa Nations Cup in Lisbon. It is so good to see international sport and international teams back here in the Portuguese capital. The start of something amazing once again on this fabulous lawn and this great, amazing field of play that seems to time and again deliver some of the best equestrian sport around. Well, let's listen.
For the Spaniards, and Spain still holds that record with most wins here in Lisbon in the CSIO. So we have here François Mati, our chef d'équipe from Spain. Tell me, François, Nations Cup always brings extra pressure because every score counts for the team. How did you handle these riders here today, and what was your strategy for Lisbon?
Well, the strategy was to try to have 4 clears in each round. We weren't that far from it. I'm really, really happy. I mean, everybody rode his best, fought really hard. I think, again, everybody participated to this super result from the team, and I'm really proud of everyone, riders and all the team.
Thank you very much. And just one last question. What can we expect from Spain in the future now that you're handling the team?
Well, we're all here, riders and people around it, to win more Nations Cups, so that's what we want to expect, more wins.
That's all we hope for, so fingers crossed to Spain in the future also. And now one question to one of our riders. What was the feeling when you realized that you won again the Nations Cup?
It is wonderful. It's the best thing arrived. It was really amazing. We are really happy. Everybody is wonderful. And here in Lisbon, well, wow.
Thank you very much, Pilar. Y creo que podemos también hacer una preguntita en español a nuestros magníficos jinetes aquí en la Copa de Naciones. Ganar tras ganar en la Copa de Naciones son ya 14. ¿Cómo lo habéis visto para venir este año una vez más a Lisboa? ¿Quién quiere coger la pregunta?
A brilliant start to the reign of François Mati and the chef to keep. And what a team performance it was all round from these riders, and you can hear in their voices exactly what it means. There is no greater accolade for any international rider than being able to represent their team, but to find your way to the top of a podium and win a Nations Cup is something that is very, very special. Spain, well, they've got the knack when it comes to Lisbon, there is no doubt about that, but there's going to be many more. Of course, this is the start of a new journey here in Lisbon, and certainly going to be a competition that annually now looks to build and build under the support of Al Shira'aa. And this CSIO3 star has certainly delivered a fabulous opening day and a great all-round performance. So good when a Nations Cup ends up in a jump-off. It just proves that in sport, you've got to wait until the last one's gone before you know exactly who has won it. Well, out they come to celebrate with their horses. These amazing lineup. Action Grace PS and Pilar Lisircodor and Champanis de Rapin and Pelo Eludri, Dural Deliciette and Kevin Gonzalez, Desarata Fernandez, and of course Caramel Blue PS with Jesus Garabadia there up on the podium and receiving from Sammy Kettle, of course the representative of Al Shira'aa, those beautiful trophies here in CSIO Lisbon 2026, the Al Shira'aa International. What a tremendous support that has given them. It is champagne time on the podium. It has been quite a day, and I'm sure there will be quite a celebration to come this evening as the Spanish team know that they could have done no more. They could enjoy it now, followed by South Africa, who, again, you have to say full marks to that team in second. They pushed the Spanish team all the way. Well done to France, who took third. But, of course, it's another famous win for Spain here in Portugal. Will it be like that next year? There's still another 2 brilliant days of sport as well to come from Al Shira'aa CSIO Lisbon 2026 to enjoy here as well.